When I was a full-blown junkie, heroin addict, thief, a person that had no regard for what I was, other people, rules, laws, or anything else that stood in my way in life, I didn't realise the difference between living in a low energy field compared to living in a high energy field of creation and success. There is a difference. I only discovered a higher energy field when I addressed problems within my soul. I addressed things that I didn't like about myself. I didn't like about my life. I didn't like how I was living. I put up with it. But when I got to that stuff, then it allowed me to raise the bar within my soul to find a higher level of existence. Because I started dealing with things, communicating my feelings and my thoughts to other people, got it out of me. And I was then able to see like the trees through the forest of how I was. And when I started to see that stuff, I knew, based on the way I lived in jails and madness as a heroin addict, that I could change that focus in respect to the risk-taking, the energy that I used to live as a heroin addict and a mad criminal, and direct it to an energy where I wasn't doing that stuff anymore. Instead of going out stealing, I'd go to work like normal people do. Instead of looking for drugs, I would start thinking about investing my money. Instead of focusing on pettiness, I started to dream and have visions. So the release of my personal problems allowed more freedom. And that was able to lift me out of these lower energy fields. Because I cleared the decks. I got rid of it. I talked, started expressing myself, took responsibility for it, looked at my actions, looked at my behaviours. And then I started to discover this higher existence. And in that lower energy field of drug taking and criminal behaviour and everything that goes with that, stealing and violence and everything that goes with that, it's not nice. I was able to start seeing a new way, a clearer vision. And it wasn't there. It wasn't where I was. It was somewhere else. And I knew I could get there. Because if I, as I said, if I had lived the way I had lived, I knew that if I could survive that, I can survive anything in a new life. And I backed myself. And also I didn't want to live like that anymore because now I had tools. And those tools were the talking and the communication of my feelings and saying I'm hurt, I'm scared, I'm insecure, I feel lonely, I don't like myself. The more I talked about that stuff, the more better my life became, the more clearer I could see a way out of the unhappiness I was living. So, looking beyond where I was in life, I started getting a lot of optimism and a lot of belief. And I knew the power was in me in creating visions that I wanted in life. And it was in creating visions why it's important to clean up your past and talk about it and get over it is you need to do that to do what I'm saying. Because without that, you'll always go back to it. The visions that you can create, the higher you is beyond your past. It's a new you. It was a new me that I was creating. But I couldn't have created that. I couldn't have had that higher me through visions, and that's what the higher self is. The higher self needs a visionary approach to it. Because if there's no visionary approach from a low position in your life, then you probably won't get out of a life you're not happy with. You can only do it knowing that it's the higher you that you're trying to aim at. And that higher you needs to visualize things. It needs to want something better than prior living. It has to want that. It has to want something better. And that's the higher person. That's the higher you. The higher me, higher you. It's just here to take. If you can understand the lower you, and if you don't visualize anything, it's sitting there ready for you to visualize it. It's up to you to take the higher you. Only you can take it. Only you can grab the higher you. And the higher you will require getting rid of the old you. And the way I got rid of the old me was communication, talking about it, got really, really honest. Extremely honest. And it's all in the book, King Hit Book. All the W's, kinghitbook.com. And my life absolutely transformed, but I had to do work in the higher me. Just thinking about this stuff will not manifest it. You've got to do the work. But if your life is of any value to you, which it is, you will do the work to overcome the lower you. Like, that's the first thing we've got to overcome to live this higher us, to live the life we want. If we don't overcome that, we're stuck. We're not going to go anywhere. So that's just a bit of food for thought in respect to living a lower existence and a higher existence. It takes overcoming your past in a way where you're dealing with it. You're making the effort to deal with it. You're going to counselling. You're reading books. You're seeking wisdom. You're talking about your feelings and your thoughts. And that stuff's going to free you to get out of taking drugs, maybe drinking too much, living a life of no optimism, pessimistic, maybe victim mentality, struggle town, can't see a way out, blame everybody for everything. That's the lower you, but it's still you, and you're still a beautiful person, I might add. Like, I'm not putting anyone down here if that's how people want to live, you know, because I've lived a life like that. I've lived it, man. I've lived it where I've had nothing. But when I realised the stuff I'm talking to you about, I become everything that I wanted. I started dreaming. I started seeing the higher me, and I worked hard to get what I want. I've had a fantastic life from it. You know, like, there's no judgment in this stuff that I'm doing. Like, it's just insight, if you want it, to what I did in my life, and I've had a fantastic life from it. Lots of challenges, lots and lots and lots of challenges. Lots of setbacks, you know, lots of obstacles I've had. But I learned how to cope with those obstacles through what I learned back in rehab about overcoming my personal self and my problems. I just kept going with it. And again, that allowed me to see another life if I wanted it up here, the lower us and the higher us, you know. And it's there, and as I said, anybody can take it, and you take care, and the higher self is there, you know. Don't ever give up on life. Whatever you do, don't ever give up. The higher self is there. You just got to hasta la vista this lower self by dealing with what you need to deal with, and hopefully seeing things that, if you're not happy, really acknowledging that, as you don't want to live like it seriously. You've had enough of it. You're done. And once you're done with living a life that you're not happy with, and you're really done, other doors will open. But you've got to clean up the backyard back there, you know. And it's important, because to get out of it, you have to do work too. A lot of work. You take care now. Have a great Sunday. Hey, look after yourself.